Hey guys, my name is Magnetico and welcome to the series where we take video game systems, we clean them up, repair them if we need to, and also we mod them as well. And today we're going to be taking a look back at the PlayStation system that we messed around last time with. This is the same one that I bought off eBay for about $20. Seller said the disk drive or the laser no longer worked. So we took this guy apart completely. We cleaned up all the grime with toothbrushes, isopropyl alcohol, Q-tips, everything that we needed to make this a pristine system. And at the end of the day, all we needed to do was clean the laser itself with some isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip, and it ended up reading the disc, which was awesome. Now, the weird thing about it is that I know the laser in this disc, or in this system, I should say, I'm sorry, is going to give out eventually. You can tell because it works harder than and makes more noise than I'm comfortable with. So the games load fine, a little bit slower than what I'm used to. And also you can tell the FMVs, they work fine as well. They don't skip or anything, but I know that that laser is working overtime. So instead of going on eBay and trying to find a replacement laser for this, because there's so many variations of the PlayStation, it might be hard to find one. Sometimes they're hit or miss. I decided to go with an optical drive emulator, and this is called the X Station. Now what it does is you can install it and it can read the games off a micro SD card, which is absolutely awesome. So I've known about this for a very long time, but I've been putting it off because it does require soldering and experience and equipment. And I decided to dive into it finally because I do have those items. So I'm not going to do like a full tutorial on how to install the actual chip itself, because there's so many people out there on YouTube that do it a lot better. They have the equipment that can, you know, hover, or like a camera that can hover over the system and zoom in super close and get those, like a really good picture of all the chips, get a good picture of all like the capacitors, like just super close magnified. And I just do not have that kind of equipment. This is my first time doing this. So what I'll be doing instead is I'll show you all the equipment that you need, how to tear down the system to the point where we can go ahead and install this, where to get the X Station, and give you an overview of the contents inside the box. And another thing that I don't see very often is how to set up the micro SD card so it works with the X Station as well. So I think that'll be a lot of fun to do. I'm super excited to start this. So if this is your kind of thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified every time I post one of these videos. Let's get started. So let's take a look at the contents inside the box. The box itself is super sleek. I love that they use like high quality cardboard here. And it looks like all the items are contained within these pink baggies here. So this is kind of cool. It looks like the first item here is going to be the ribbon, which I assume is going to connect from the motherboard to the actual X Station board. And then here it looks like we have the QSB, and actually there's two of them. One of them is on the left for the 1000 series PlayStations, and then the 5000 series on the right, which is the one we're going to use. And then the star of the show here is the X Station. So I like that it's black. It's super sleek. It even says X Station on it. It just looks like a really, really well put together board. And on top here, that is where we'll put the micro SD cards. So that is super cool. Go ahead and move some of these bags out of the way. And it looks like we have a couple pads here, I guess, to kind of stand the X Station board up. And they give you all these cool stickers as well. One of them says X Station and the other one's more stylized, like the front of the box. So that's pretty cool. I actually like that they added these in case you wanted to, you know, add it to your system. But here we have a couple instructions, the do's and do nots. But other than that, I'm going to go ahead and put some of this extra baggies inside the box. And that's it. So let's move on. So the things you'll need is going to be the system itself. You're going to need the tool set. Again, I'm going to link these in the description below, as always. You're going to need the soldering iron. Some flux. I use the non-clean, but you can use regular as well. And 30 gauge wire. And to do a little bit of cleanup afterwards, you can use the isopropyl alcohol. I use 99%. And of course, Q-tips as always. So we're going to go ahead and start with the system here. We're going to go ahead and flip it over. As you can see, this is the same model that we used last time. It is the 5501 for the disassembly we did on the other video. There's going to be 6 screws we're going to have to take out from the bottom of the console. There's going to be 1 in each corner, and then 2 on the outside center area as well. So once you take off the last screw, we can go ahead and take this system and flip it over, and the top shell should lift right up without any resistance. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the power supply from the motherboard, the controller port from the motherboard, the laser ribbon, and also the power to the laser as well. And it's up to you whether you want to keep this or get rid of it, since we're replacing this completely. That's up to you. I tend to keep mine just in case. And this is completely optional, but I'm going to take off the power supply from the bottom shell as well. So there's 2 screws in the back that you can take off. And once you take those off, this should slide right off if you pull away from the system. And there's going to be 2 screws for the controller port, one on the right, and there's going to be another one on the left. Perfect. So once you get rid of those, we should be able to lift this right up. Go ahead and put this aside. Now we're dealing with this metal shielding here. There's going to be 4 screws, 3 in each corner, and then 1 towards the outside center. Let's go ahead and take these off real quick. And I always forget to take off this little door. I did this last time in the last video, but yeah, put that aside somewhere. But now that we have all that, we can go ahead and take off this metal shielding. And there's going to be 4 more screws we're going to have to take off. There's going to be 1 by the AV port, another one by the IO port, and then 2 more by the other IO port as well. So once we take off this last one, this motherboard should be free to go. So we should be able to lift this right up. Perfect. So that's what we're going to be messing with. Put that aside. Let's go ahead and take off the bottom shielding part of this shell. And then finally, we're just left with the shell. So this is the motherboard, the back of it at least. And I'm going to go ahead and take the QSB board, and it was specifically designed to be laid out and soldered onto this board on specific joints. And I know you can't see it, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom in for you guys and show you that each little circle, each little dot does have a soldering point. So it's very specific. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down with some Kapton tape once I have everything lined up the way I need to. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of solder. I already have the flux on the parts I'm going to solder right now. So I'm going to go ahead and just solder this point here. And it's kind of cool because I've never soldered anything this small before. So I actually feel like I learned a lot from this particular experience here. Had to learn how to have a steady hand. And there's this one chip that I had to remove. And I'll show you how small it is here in just a second. But there's another point there. But here is the complete product here. Well, the easy part, that is. There is another part that we have to do first. But yeah, I'm going to show you this chip. And it's the tiniest thing. Let me see if I can zoom in on this for you guys here. It does have a number on it. Look how much I have to zoom in. Look at that. 221. Oh my goodness. But this is going to be the hard part here. The part that keeps a lot of people from dealing with this particular mod. And there's pins on this motherboard that we have to lift up and unattach from the motherboard. So the tool I'm going to use is going to be a precision knife and my soldering gun. So here's the final product here with all the pins that need to be lifted. They're all facing up now. I can't stress because the camera doesn't do it justice how small this is, but I'm so proud of myself for finally doing it. So now we are done. So we're going to start with the bottom shelf here, and we're going to go ahead and grab the bottom metal shielding and place it into the shell like so. You'll know you did it right if all the plastic pieces fit through their respective holes there. Same thing with the motherboard. Make sure the plastic pieces fit perfectly through the holes there. And the ribbon is perfectly fine sticking out the way it is there. So we're going to go ahead and attach 1 screw by the AV port, another one by the IO port, and then 2 more by the other IO port. We're going to go ahead and place the metal shielding on top, but before we do that, we'll feed the ribbon through that little slit that you see there. And it's awesome because this will not pinch the ribbon in any way, and it's just perfect design the way they did it, because it will not get pinched, it doesn't get caught on anything, it's just perfectly free floating through that, and I think it's awesome. So we'll place 4 screws back on the top metal shielding here, 1 in each corner, 1 in the middle or the top center there. And we're going to go ahead and take this ribbon and we're going to go ahead and fold it. And I already did a practice run with the folds here just to make sure it turned out the way I wanted it to. But you'll fold it over to the left and then downwards like you see here. But now that we have that done, we can go ahead and take the X-Station board and attach it to the ribbon. And blue will be facing up, and we'll just go ahead and place it into the little slot there and go ahead and latch it in. And the X-Station did come with these 3 pads that you can attach to it. It only fits on 3 corners. So we'll go ahead and put those on here. And then we're going to follow the folds of the ribbon and then place the X-Station on top. And it'll fit perfectly on those 2 pillars that you see here. Look at that. Oh, that's so pretty. Next, we'll attach the power supply and slide it into the system so it fits nice and easily there. We're going to go ahead and plug in the power supply to the motherboard so it's powered up. And remember, there's 2 screws in the back that we took off earlier from the power supply, so we're going to go ahead and add those back in. Next up is going to be the controller port, and we're going to go ahead and put the ribbon into the motherboard like so, and go ahead and sit this on the bottom shell. I struggled with this a little bit. I don't know what was going on here, but eventually I was able to get it. I don't know what was wrong here. I think I was just doubting myself more than anything. Like, I felt like something was off, but everything turned out just fine. So we're going to go ahead and attach the left screw. Now, I didn't tighten that all the way. I just wanted to see if it'll sit perfectly. And I'm going to go ahead and attach the right screw. And it looks like everything looked good. So I'll just go ahead and finish up the tightening on the left side here and then just double check. But everything looks snug. Everything looks good. So we'll place the top shell onto the system, flip it over. If you guys remember, there are 6 screws that we took off from this as well. So we're going to go ahead and place all 6 of those. There's going to be 4 on the sides and then 2 in the outside center area as well. I'm going to go ahead and flip this guy over. You guys already know, but I always forget about this little door, either when I'm disassembling the system or assembling it. So there we go. We got the IO door on there. And now let's hit open so we can take a look at what it looks like inside. Would you look at that? Okay, so now we're on my computer, and as you can see, I have 2 games that are already ready to go. One of them is Blade for the PlayStation, and the other one is the original Resident Evil for the PlayStation. So we're going to take the micro SD card, put it into a USB drive adapter, and then plug it into our computer. Seems to be a problem. Continue without scanning. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just format this. This is a 32 gigabyte micro SD card, so I'm gonna go ahead and format it. I did order one from Amazon that was a lot bigger, but it didn't make it in time. I think I got like a 256 gigabyte hard drive, but for now we'll just use this for testing. So we're gonna call this volume test, start the format, hit OK, close, go inside of it, and we're just gonna leave that here to the side. Next up, I'm gonna pull up the website where I ended up buying the optical drive emulator, the X-Station. And that is from Castlemania. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. It does say here that it does support exFAT formatted cards and also FAT32. Lots of useful information on here if you guys need it. But let's go to the official user guide, which will open up a GitHub, and it'll tell you that you should download this program called SD Card Formatter. Now, if this doesn't work, formatting it with the Windows tool, then we'll go ahead and download this and try it. But for our testing, we'll just keep it as it is. The user guide also tells you that you should create a folder inside of your micro SD card called 00X So let's go ahead and do that now. So new folder, 00X Station. It looks like they're all lowercase letters, so we'll leave it like so. And let's go inside of it. Scrolling down, it tells you that you should go to the GitHub and download the update, and it should have an update bin and a loader bin. And inside, that's the card. You can actually put all the games on the root where the 00X Station is at. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and scroll up and go to the releases here. So we got X Station releases. Looks like they have a couple of them here. Let's go to 9 releases here and go to this one right here. This is the 1.6.1 firmware, which was released back in June 6th. So let's see if we can get a download on that real quick. All right, let's go ahead and download the zip here. It's called update161.zip. And it looks like, yep, you'll find the 2 folders there, or the 2 files, I'm sorry, the loader bin and the update bin. So we're just gonna go ahead and throw those into the X Station folder that we created. And now I can go ahead and take my blade and my Resident Evil and go ahead and copy or cut and paste those over into it. When those are done moving into your X Station, I think that is all we need for this micro SD card setup. So let's go ahead and take out the USB drive with the micro SD card and go ahead and plug it into our PlayStation. So it looks like it loads up a game, but it goes straight into the X Station options menu. So it is reading it. This is awesome right here. I'm gonna go ahead and refresh my game list. I'll mess with the other options later, but for now we're just worried about running games. So we went ahead and refreshed it. We ran Resident Evil last time. I could run Blade, but I think it takes too long to load that one because there's a lot of loading screens before you even start the game. So we'll do Resident Evil, and it looks like you can do a fast load, a full load, memory. There's a lot of options here. I'll have to mess around with these later, but let's go ahead and just do a fast load. And I'm assuming if you do a fast load, it just means it's going to skip the boot screen and go straight into the game and the initial FMV. So that's kind of cool if that is the case. We'll find out here in just a second if it shows the Capcom. Yep, that's exactly it. And I didn't see any skipping of any sort on that initial FMV. We'll see what happens with this one here. Yep, I went ahead and pressed the start button now to skip that FMV, but it looks like it's running beautifully. Oh, this is too cool. Heck yeah, guys. I'm so excited. Alright guys, so we did it. We built a PlayStation that has an ODE or optical drive emulator, and we can put all the games that we want on this system. So again, depending on the micro SD card that you have, I do have a 256 gigabyte hard drive coming in from Amazon, but for now the 32 gigabyte will do just to get me by. But I am super excited that I'm able to put my entire PlayStation library all inside of this very system. And if you know me, I do have an extensive game collection when it comes to PS1 games, so I don't want to scratch them. Some of those games are worth so much money now that the last thing I'm going to do is put them into a system and let it spin and let the air friction, you know, eventually scratch them inside the spinning disc. So this is definitely the way to go. I'm just going to copy the games into my computer and then just transfer them over to the micro SD card from there and play it. So I am so excited, man. I am so happy that I got this to work. I learned a lot from this challenge. It actually gives me the motivation and the confidence to take on more difficult soldering challenges in the future. So if this is your kind of thing where you want to see somebody kind of like tinker with systems, clean them up, repair them, or even mod them, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified every time I post one of these videos. So until then, I'm just gonna go and mess around with this a little bit more. Thank you guys so much for watching. I might do one more video pertaining to the PlayStation. That's kind of like finishing touches. Like I want to get like a little adapter that you can raise up the micro SD card a little bit higher so it's easier to access. A couple of other items that I want to get for it, but we'll cover that in another video. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.